Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, y'all. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5%.
What's up, guys? Yankees Run This Town here, along with BigTimeEmpire, also known as GR1014 here on YouTube. And we are here today to discuss the Yankees in the playoffs, the potential playoff matchups, the Yankees rotation, and other news around Major League Baseball.
I make YouTube videos. You can find me on PSN with that name, BigTimeEmpire 27. And we're here to chat about the Yankees, talk about their playoff hopes, what's going on in the postseason in Major League Baseball.
So the Yankees, as we all know, the underdogs going into the season with the second best record in the major leagues, and the Yankees, AL East champions, clinched home field advantage throughout the playoffs up until the World Series, of course. And the Yankees are on a roll, and the Red Sox are tumbling down, having one of the worst Septembers that any baseball fans can ever imagine. One game ahead of the Rays, and right now it looks like they can actually be tied with them tomorrow morning, as the Rays are leading the Yankees and the Red Sox are losing to the Orioles in the 7th inning.
And the Red Sox, they were 5-16 in the month of September. They had a 9-game lead going into the month of September, and if they do collapse, which many people feel that they could, but anything can happen, of course, in baseball, they would have the largest collapse in the history of Major League Baseball by any team. And many of us remember the 2007 Mets, that they collapsed. They were 7 games up with 17 to play. The 64 Phillies were also about 7 up in the middle of September. The 2009 Detroit Tigers were actually 3 up with 3 to play, and they squandered away to the Minnesota Twins, also 7 up at one point in September, as well as the 95 Angels. So right now, the Red Sox are reaching historical waters if this actually comes to fruition.
And it's amazing to think, though, how the Yankees have just been so dominant. While coming into the season, the Yankees are regarded as the underdogs. Many people didn't even think they'd make the playoffs, and everyone thought the Red Sox would be the second coming of the 1927 Yankees. And, as witnesses here, that is clearly not the case, and the Yankees have to be the favorite in everyone's minds to make the World Series.
Well, yeah. Well, I think we have to quote John Sterling here, who always says on every Yankee broadcast, "He can't predict baseball." Yep. Because going into the season, every baseball prognosticator was saying that the Red Sox were going to win the division, that the Yankees and the Rays would be the ones, below them, maybe even not making the playoffs. And everybody was looking at the Yankee rotation as CC Sabathia, AJ Burnett, and Watt. And when you look at the rotation this year, Watt turned out to be Ivan Nova, and what a guy he's turned out to be. 16 wins this season, keeping the Yankees in every single ball game. Freddie Garcia, they got off the scrap heap. He has an ERA just hovering over 3. Every game he gets high run support. He gives Yankees about 7 innings, 6 or 7 innings of solid baseball, quality pitching with 2 runs allowed per game. Plus Bartolo Colon early in the season carried the Yankees rotation along with CC Sabathia. Yankees look pretty strong this season, considering what they had to deal with coming into the season. Their bench really improved as well going into the season. Eric Chavez has been fine. Eric Chavez has been fine. Jesus Montez emerged in September. It's really been something this year.
And who would have thought? I remember at the beginning of the season, like you said, the Yankees rotation, no one knew what to expect, and that's why people were predicting the Yankees to go nowhere, essentially, in 2011. And, hearing these names, I remember making jokes about Bartolo Colon, just because I didn't expect him to amount into much, and for the better part of the season, he pitched like a reliable, solid number 2 starter, and he cannot be discounted for. As great as Garcia Nova has been, without Colon, the Yankees aren't in the position they are now.
But also, even before the season, everybody thought that Phil Hughes was going to step in number 3 role, or even emerge as number 2 starter over AJ Burnett. So it was a little bit premature to actually dismiss the Yankees and predict them to miss the postseason this year.
Yeah, and enough about the beginning of the season, because this season's over, folks. The playoffs was just about to begin, and this Yankee season is very special. Many great moments. Derek Jeter's 2,000th hit. Mariano Rivera's 602nd save to become the all-time saves leader. many memorable moments that just made for another special season in the Bronx. And the Yankees, they look really strong heading into the playoffs, but they're going to have some tough teams to face, whoever they may play.
On the team race right now, and you have the Detroit Tigers who clinched their division very early, the Texas Rangers, but the Texas Rangers right now have some pitching issues. As Alexio Gondo, who was supposed to be #1 starter, is going to be moved into the bullpen because he's on an innings quota. So that could be an issue for them. You have mentioned the Boston Red Sox, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Angels. If they're the dark horse in this wild card race, who knows by the time if you'll be watching this that the Angels could be out of it. It's wide open in the American League because all these teams have some sort of issue.
And the records between the two teams, the Rangers and the Tigers, is very close. And as we film this video, it could be the Rangers or the Tigers. Most likely not the Angels. They're 3 out with pretty much 2 games to play. So it seems pretty likely that they won't make the playoffs. But both teams have pretty solid pitching. The Rangers, they're fueled by that powerful lineup. And the Tigers, of course, they have that superhuman in the 25-game winner Justin Verlander.
There's a lot of talk about him becoming the MVP this year. And I know there's a lot of skepticism about having a starting pitcher become the MVP. But when you look at that Tigers rotation after Justin Verlander, what would that Tigers team be? They would probably be a third-place ball club if it wasn't for the heroics of Justin Verlander, aside from this great September run that they've had.
And you can't discount, too, though, Doug Fister. He has pitched like Justin Verlander a little bit less, essentially, since he has come over, now getting the run support he needs, unlike what he got in Seattle. And very underrated pitcher, and he has pitched great in September and pretty much since the Tigers got him. And that's a fearful 1-2 punch for Detroit. And Yankees, though, they will counter with that if they do face them with CC Sabathia and Ivan Nova. So it's not so clear cut that the Tigers have an advantage.
But Doug Fister has had success against the Yankees. Remember, his first major league win came against the Yankees back when he was a member of the Seattle Mariners. He has been able to beat the Yankees, has been able to beat Boston, a lot of these big-time American League teams, and he's had that type of success. But nevertheless, as you said, Yankees can match up with Justin Verlander, against Doug Fister, against Max Scherzer, Rick Porcello, whoever the Tigers throw out there. But that would be a great series if the Yankees face them in the first round. But I for some reason, I think as a Yankee fan, they'll match up better against the Rangers, especially, as I mentioned before, that Alexio Gondo won't be able to start for the Rangers.
Oh, absolutely. And, the Rangers, they still should scare people with one of the best lineups in baseball right there with the Yankees. We got the MVP Josh Hamilton, Adrian Beltre, Mike Napoli, many dangerous hitters in there, Nelson Cruz. And without, I think in my opinion, without the Rangers having a clear-cut #1 starter, it immediately gives the Yankees advantage if they do happen to play them. And especially, you can't discount having home field advantage. That is huge for the Yankees this year. Play so well at Yankee Stadium, and having those first 2 games at home is going to be a big, big boost, no matter the team they play in the playoffs.
And it looks like, as I mentioned earlier, the Yankees have a much stronger team on the bench, in the bullpen as well. They got some quality finds there with Corey Wade, Luis Ayala, guys that did not even begin the season with them. And they just got so much depth all around the lineups and in all those other areas that you got to look at the Yankees right now as the slight favorite in the American League despite their issues.
No doubt about it. And, that back end of the bullpen, the Yankees, I said this at the beginning of the year when the Yankees bullpen was supposed to be David Robertson in the 7th, Rafael Soriano in the 8th, and then Mariano in the 9th. But now the Yankees starters simply only have to give them 6 serviceable innings until they can hand the ball over in the 7th to either Luis Ayala or Rafael Soriano, who has pitched well of late, and then hand it over to David Robertson, 90 strikeouts in 60 innings, and then Mariano Rivera, the greatest of all time. So back end of the bullpen, Yankees are really, really set, and that's the beauty of this team, how it's structured. Starters don't need to give them much. The bullpen will carry them. And as long as the Yankees offense can score a couple runs in that big ballpark that we all know they can hit in, it would be no surprise for me if I see the Yankees in the World Series again this year.
But not just the bullpen will get stronger. The They'll also get stronger by adding one of those pitchers. One of the starting pitchers will be going into the bullpen, obviously, during postseason, perhaps two if you count in the division series. So let's say Phil Hughes goes back there. We all saw how well he responded out of the bullpen in 2009. If he's healthy, he could give the Yankees a lift with another inning out there, too. You know, maybe if A.J. Burnett or Bartolo Colon or Freddie Garcia, no matter any of those guys that they have in that bullpen, could give them length, could give them, something that they need out there.
Yeah, and, the Yankees' rotation for the playoffs right now, in my opinion, I don't know about you, I would go CC, Ivan Nova, Freddie Garcia, and A.J. Burnett. For the division series, he might not have to start, but I think that's the way the Yankees should go throughout the playoffs. I think A.J. has actually pitched well enough the past month or so to give me a little bit of faith to trust him with the Game 4 of either series.
Well, I mean, also when you look at process of elimination, I mean, the certainties you would probably say that it would be CC Sabathia should be number one. Obviously, Ivan Nova should be number two. He's won 16 games. He's been effective all year long. Freddie Garcia is the next consistent starter on that list, number three. And then you got that mix of could it be Phil Hughes? Should it be Bartolo Colon? Should it be A.J. Burnett? And it's got to be with the guy that has been the strongest over the last month of the season. And here's some of the numbers on A.J. Burnett in the month of September. Against Boston, 5 innings. This was on September 1st, 5 hits, 2 runs. That's when the transformation began in that series in Fenway Park. Then he had a so-so start against Baltimore at home. Then on the road in Seattle, had a strong 6 innings with 11 strikeouts. Then against the Minnesota Twins, he didn't have such a strong start. That was the game when Rivera set the saves record. Then his last start last night, 7 2/3 innings, probably his strongest, again against Boston, 5 hits, 2 runs. And it looks like A.J. Burnett is locating his pitches better. He's not thinking as much. He's just throwing what he's got out there. And right now, he looks like the guy. He's hot right now. You got to go with the hot hand as your fourth starter.
And
however, put him on a leash.
And definitely, when you consider those 3 starters in Colon, Hughes, and Burnett, Hughes hasn't started a game in 2 weeks. Colon is pitching like the pitcher we thought he'd be. He's been great all year, but since the middle to late August, he just has not pitched as well as he was previously. Still doing a serviceable job, but just I do not see him getting a postseason start. But he can be a very good long relief man for the Yankees in the postseason.
Well, Bartolo Colon has only gone 7 innings, 1 start here in September. That was in Anaheim when the Yankees lost 2-1. I believe that was a Friday night game when he allowed 1 run unearned with 6 hits. Other than that, he's only gone 7 innings once since July 24th. Since August 17th till about September 22nd, it's been a pretty rough go for Bartolo Colon in that he has not won a decision since then. He's had 49 hits and 39 of the third innings pitched, and his ERA has been over 6. But people forget that because Colon got off to such a hot start early on.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get the benefit of the doubt from most Yankee fans because he has been so good this year. But, as far as I do not see him starting.